So today we are making a video on DraugerOS 7.7. So here is the boot menu of a DraugerOS 7.7. So let me quickly boot it in a live boot. And I forgot to mention that I'm running it on a virtual machine, which is a VMware with a 60 GB of hard disk, 8 GB of RAM, and my CPU is i5 1240p. So the 7.7 DraugerOS was available a few hours ago. The ISO file is a stable ISO file. And also the booting process of this Linux distro will take like 2 or 3 minutes usually. So most of the Linux distros will take 2 or 3 minutes to boot in my PC. So let's wait and let's see how much time it takes until the desktop layout loads. I'm going to mention the time. So don't worry about the DraugerOS 7.5.1, but it says 7.5.1, but the desktop environment and the Linux distro will be 7.7. I'm going to show you that also. So let's wait and see. So here is the welcome screen and the desktop layout. It took 2 minutes 40 seconds to load up the desktop. So here is all the information like a DraugerOS 7.7 and the codename is NZAMBI. So and also the default admin password is a TOOR. So let me close the welcome screen. I'm going to open the system monitor before changing the display settings because I need to see how much of resources it consumes as soon as we boot up the Linux distro. So it's going to take a few seconds to open up the system monitor. Here is our system monitor. I'm going to change the display settings as soon as everything is seen. So the 1.3 GB of RAM, it's consuming 1.3 GB of RAM, and I already mentioned I'm using a 8 GB of RAM, and also I'm running it on the RAM, which is a virtual machine. So CPU is under like a 20-25%, and the operating system is DraugerOS 7.7 NZAMBI. KDE Plasma version you get is a 5.27.11, and the frameworks version you get is a 5.115.0. The Qt version you get is a 5.15.13, and I'm going to show you the applications. So these are all the applications will run as soon as you boot up. And here is the history of a CPU and RAM. As you can see, there is a most of the time you need to run like a 60 seconds to get all the stable graph. So in this case, most of the CPU is running almost stable, but there is a high peak here. So that's the reason you need to run like a 60 seconds to get all the stable graph. When you run all the 60 seconds, you need to see all the graph is like on the low side and the graph should be stable. So you shouldn't see a high peak here and there. So right now it's running almost stable. So let's check the process. It's going to take a few seconds. Let's check so we can easily move the applications. There is no lag or any hiccups. Everything is smooth, but it is taking a bit of time here to open some processes and all those things. So let me make it bigger. So these are all the processes running right now. So I didn't open any of the applications, or I didn't even change any settings. So these are all the base graph of CPU and RAM and all those things. So right now the RAM is 1.3 and the CPU is under 20%. So let's change the display settings now. Let me change the display settings first. Configure display settings. So as you can see, CPU went almost 70%. We need to see throughout the video, so I'm going to keep the system monitor in the right side corner. Before that, let's change the display resolution. So my monitor is like a 1920 x 1080 with a 16:9 ratio. I'm going to click on apply. Keep this configuration. I'm going to close it. And I'm going to put the system monitor in the right side corner so you can see all the changes, and you can judge whether to use this Linux distro or not. So this is the latest ISO file released a few hours ago. I'm going to open the browser and I'm going to show you the official website and some changes and the downloading process. So keep an eye on the CPU and RAM throughout the video so you can easily judge on your own whether to use this Linux distro or not. I'm going to say my final thoughts at the end, but you decide it's a better option because I don't know what are your specs and what you need in that, what type of Linux distro you need. So it's better to judge on your own. So let's check the version of the Firefox. So the latest version is 128, but you get is a 115.13.0 ESR. So the latest version is a 128.0.3 available. So let me type about support before going to the official website. About support, hit enter. So you should be seeing some distro information and some browser information. So if you consider it as important, you can watch this, or you can just skip this part. So the Linux kernel you get is a 6.9.10. So the latest version of Linux kernel is 6.10 right now. And the version you get Firefox, I already mentioned. Here is the build ID. When you scroll it down, you should be seeing the memory size, which is a RAM, and also the disk space. So here are some of the important information. Let's scroll it. Here are also some other information. And the desktop environment you get is the KDE Plasma, and window protocol we are using the VLAN right now. And the display resolution, which I already mentioned and showed in the beginning. So here is the display resolution, and here are some of the important information. If you consider it as important, you can read everything. So let's go to the official website by typing the search term as a DraugerOS. So I'm using a VPN, so that's the reason it's showing some other language. I don't know what server I'm using for the VPN, but you should be seeing the official website. In order to go to, by going to the website, you can just type in like this to go to the website. You can visit the website by typing this URL, or else you can just type in like a DraugerOS in the search term and you should be good. So as soon as you open the official website, it says a DraugerOS version 7.7 is out now. So when you get down, you should be seeing all the information. It's based on Ubuntu, and it's a gaming distribution that ships with the many modifications and optimization over a stock Ubuntu. So here you should be getting all the information like changes such as using a kernel compiled in the host, replacing a PulseAudio with a Pipewire. I'm going to show you all the information, so you don't need to worry about it. Is DraugerOS right for you? So if you want all the information, you can just read it from here, or else you can just get the information from going to their official website. Download info 3.7 GB and version is 3.7. For more info, let me click here, or else you can just click on the download there. So here is the information. So I don't think there will be some like a blog or a release note or anything like that. So they just gave the information. So we need to get all the information by our own. So I'm going to give most of the information in the description. So here is the downloading process. You can just click on download and get all the information. In order to contact, you can contact here. Here is a wiki. You can find the bugs and all the troubleshooting and all those things by searching here, how to reset your password and all those things. So here is the about. If you want the about the DraugerOS, you can get the information about the DraugerOS right here. And about the system requirements, here is the system requirements. So most of the users want the system requirements. So minimum hardware requirements, you need a dual core 1.8 GHz with a 64-bit processor, and RAM you need a 1 GB, and you need a storage of 32 GB, and GPU it's integrated graphics, and the screen resolution is 1024 x 768 at 30 Hz, and here is other external ports. So they say minimum requirements can run. If you have this much of requirements, they say it's going to run. So it's a KDE Plasma desktop environment. In my point of view, it's consuming like a 2 GB of RAM, and CPU is around like a 30-40%. So I have the latest hardware specs, which is i5 1240p is my CPU, and also I have the 8 GB of RAM, and I'm running it on the virtual RAM and virtual machine. So the recommended hardware is like you need to have like a 6 GB of RAM DDR4 and storage 128 GB, and the GPU is this much, and screen resolution is like this. So I have the best CPU, so I have a i5 1240p, and they say 6 GB of RAM, which is DDR4. I have a 8 GB of RAM, which is DDR4 with a 3200 MHz, And storage, I'm using NVMe, and also I'm using it on a virtual disk, so I'm not considering like that. And GPU, I have like a 2050 GPU. So 1080p, I also have the 1080p with 165 Hz. So I have the more than recommended hardware requirements, and it's running like this. So you decide whether it's good or not. So I have like a latest more than the recommended hardware, and also I'm running it on the RAM. So you should consider all those things and decide whether to use it or not. So it's consuming like a 2 GB of RAM. So best possible results, you need to have like this: 12 core 4 GHz, 8 GB of RAM. So they are saying DDR5 RAM. I don't know, it's most of the, even Windows 11 doesn't need this much of resources, I guess. It's clearly up to you. So they are saying DDR5 RAM. I don't think you don't need that much of resources here. So if you have this much of resources, you don't go with this type of Linux distro. There are good Linux distros, like a gaming Linux distros. I think most of the users will go for those Linux distro. I don't think no one will go with this Linux distro if this much of specs they have. So it's clearly up to you whether to use it or not. So I'm saying all those things according to my PC. So you decide whether to use it or not. I showed almost everything from the browser. I'm going to close it, and let's open the console, which is a terminal. And let me type in some commands to get some distro information. So let's hope everything is pre-installed, like a INXI and NeoFetch and all those things. So let's check the version first. And here you can see there was a minor lag. About console, you get the 23.08.5. So let me type in INXI. So command not found. So INXI is not pre-installed. NeoFetch is also not pre-installed. So you need to install everything on our own. So I don't think I'm not installing anything here, because I want to keep everything as default as possible. So cat /etc/issue. So Drauger OS 7.7. So let's see desktop. Here is our desktop. Let me close it. Let me show you the installation. Let's double click it. Continue. So it's 1.5 GB of RAM and CPU went 2%, 1%. So if you wish to notify the developers of this failed installation, you can send an installation report below, and we already have the installation failed here. Let's try it again. So no 32 GB or larger drives detected. I'm using a 60 GB of hard disk, but it says something like this: no 32 GB or larger drives detected. So I already mentioned that I'm using a 60 GB of hard disk for my virtual machine, but it says nothing here. So we see the installation failed already. So these are all the applications which comes pre-installed with the Drauger OS. So most of them are from the KDE Plasma, and a few applications are added by the Drauger OS. I'm not going to install because the installation is showing some error. So I'm not going to show you that. So these are all the applications you get from the Drauger OS pre-installed. So you don't get any bloatware, you just get some basic and important applications. And here is the welcome screen. You can see keyboard shortcuts, accessibility settings, take the tour. If you want a tour of this Linux distro, you can go watch those things, which is tutorial videos. So I'm going to close it. Let me open some applications. So here is the desktop features. So it's a KDE Plasma without any modifications. So you see most of them from the KDE Plasma desktop environment. So there are few applications changes. Other than that, there is nothing. Some wallpapers added. So let's check the wallpapers. So you basically get all the KDE Plasma options and settings and all those things. So, and here you can see discover not responding, cannot refresh cache while offline. So here is the file manager. So you need to watch all those things, watch video properly and decide whether to use this or not. So there will be some errors and also some issues, so that's the reason I always say always run it in the live boot or in the virtual machine, and if you're satisfied then go with the installation. This is the reason I always say always try it first then go with the installation, because you should be having already a good Linux distro running or the good operating system running in your PC. Don't try to ruin it just for trying new things. There are options like a live boot and also the virtual machines. You can try it, and if you're satisfied and also you get all the information from the on the other sources, don't just watch my video and try to just install or install any operating system on your PC, because you shouldn't be trusting anyone. You need to try to get all the information on your own, and if you're satisfied then go with the installation. So here is some of the file manager options. You can change the preference, you can configure. So these are all the same KDE Plasma desktop environment things, so I don't think there should be nothing to show here, so I'm going to close all those things. So here is our error and here are the updates. Here is the about. Here are the settings. You can customize according to your wish. So the 7.7 was already available a few days ago. Also there was like a beta version, so I think I made all those videos also. You can just search in my channel, you can see all the DraugerOS videos there. So here are the wallpapers. Most of them are the Debian wallpapers and some 2 wallpapers are from the DraugerOS. So and the one is from the KDE Plasma. So you don't get anything in the wallpapers also. So here is the folder view. Again, these are the same desktop features, and without any change you get the KDE Plasma desktop environment. So there is nothing to show here also. Same settings in the KDE Plasma desktop environment, so nothing to show here. Audio, display and monitor, the firewall, everything is same, nothing changed here. Let me close it. So you already saw the password TOOR. So it's the password for the live boot, which I already showed in the beginning of the video. So you don't get any content creating applications. For the user who doesn't want any applications pre-installed, you should be good with this Linux distro. But if you are a user who want most of the applications pre-installed in this Linux distro, this is not a Linux distro for you. You don't get anything, you need to install everything on your own. The password is TOOR. Let me show you again. Click OK. Here is our Synaptic package manager. I'm going to show you all those things. Let me scroll it down. So installed packages will be highlighted with the green box, not the green, it's with a blue box with a tick mark. And here you should be seeing the installed version. Here is the latest version, and here is some of the description of that specific package. So these are all the installed packages. Let me scroll it down like this. In order to see this, you can just change the playback speed in the YouTube. You should be seeing everything. Let's check the version of the Synaptic package manager. You get the latest version of the Synaptic package manager. So I think we pretty much covered everything, because there is nothing to show here. There are no applications pre-installed, and also there are no wallpapers, so the installation also got failed and we had the issue with the installation also. So my final thoughts are everything is going good. I didn't face any issue other than those things. So here is the RAM, it's consuming 1.9 GB of RAM, and CPU isn't stable. So these are all the issues right now. So it's better to you decide whether to use this Linux distro or not. If you ask me, I don't really recommend this right now, because it's not in a position that you need to install it on your main PC or work PC. But if you want, you can try it in the virtual machines and live boot, or else if you're a normal user, don't even try to use this Linux distro. If you're a distro hopper, you can try it. But if you're a normal user who want to install a Linux distro which will work properly for your main PC or work PC, it's not a Linux distro for you. There are plenty of other stable Linux distros you can watch in my channel, or you can search Google and other things and other sources, and also in other YouTube channels. You decide whether to use those Linux distro or not. For normal user, I'm not going to recommend. For distro hopper, you can try it. So it's a new Linux distro and new ISO file. You can try it. So these are all the changes you see in this Linux distro. Let me show you all the hardware specs. So here are all the hardware resources at the end of the video. Here are the applications running. Here is the history. Again, the CPU went high here. RAM is pretty much stable. It's consuming 2 GB of RAM. So if you have like a 2 GB of RAM, you don't I don't think it will run on this, because you saw all the recommended requirements and the best requirements and the minimum requirements recommended and all those things in the beginning. I showed everything. So you decide whether to use it or not. I'm going to end the video. And also I want to say that I will be posting 2 videos daily without missing. So I was doing from almost like a 5-6 years like that. I am continuously posting. So if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. And I think I'm going to end the video here. Let me show you the logout screen and also end the video there. Let's check the logout. And also the booting process took more time. So you need to consider that also. So here is the logout screen or the login screen. The password is TOOR, which I already mentioned. And I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Here is the desktop sessions.